Right, so yeah, like I said, there were a lot of mistakes in this game for us to go over. So again, like we don't really need to worry too much about the outcome of the game. We just need to worry about the things that we were doing wrong.
Yeah, of course.
Which there was quite a few. I'm not gonna lie. So let me get my so so this was fine. So what do you think the timings are for a pull? What should the timings be between a light pull and a hard pull? When should you leave?
I always like leave the buff at 700 HP, which is like whatever the jungler and the damage we put in. I
Okay.
always leave at around 600, 700.
Okay. So overall, the time you want to be leaving for a light leash will be 135.
Okay.
But heavy leash will be up to 139. So obviously, if you've
Okay.
got a less kind of meta jungler, someone that might struggle to clear a little bit, then giving them that extra pull is always much better. Obviously, you are going to be kind of opted into being on weak side by being in bot lane anyway.
Mm-hmm.
If the jungler starts on red, but it's not too bad, especially when we're playing something like Ashe. Now, one of the first big mistakes is the way we actually approach this wave. Now, one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of ADCs make, especially Ashe players, is they instantly walk up and W the wave. Now, I thought that you weren't going to do that instantly, but it turns out that you did. So right here, what you want to do is this auto is fine, then you want to get another auto, then this one will drop for another auto, and then this one will straight away. You just have to make sure you put that first kind of one or two autos into the start of the wave, and then you don't have to use your W here. Now, why do you think that's important?
Well, my W is one of the strongest spells at level 1, so
Yeah.
I
So
want to keep it to fight.
yeah. And also, as we kind of discussed before, if we're looking at this laning phase, right, we've got a Rel and an Ashe against a Lucian and a Braum. Now, a Braum, Brand, my bad. Now, Brand is kind of one of them champions that at level 1, he's really bad because Brand needs his other abilities to combo off his initial ones, right? So instead of using that W on the wave here, what we should have been looking to do is auto them, and then as soon as they go to auto these minions, what we look to do is then we look to try and get kind of some pressure on them, and because we've already killed these, so we can last hit and then W instantly and then hit the Brand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So after we hit him first, as long as we get our W on either one of them at level 1, because Lucian will also take his Q level 1, so maybe he takes E if he knows the matchup, but he probably won't in these elos. So what that means then is you can throw your W and then you can just run them down with your Halo Blades autos. And then obviously with a Rel as well, which Rel is also very good at level 1. You just do so much into them and you can win that fight.
Okay.
So here, see how Brand is completely in the open right now. And this would have been a perfect time to engage on him.
Yeah.
With that W. So we start getting autos here. It was okay spacing. Now this was the first big mistake, right? So let's just slow it down. So we get an auto, and now one of the problems here is that we're spacing well, right? And then all of a sudden, the Rel's in the brush. This is still good spacing because we're still at max range. But then we walk way too close. See this extra...
Yeah, because I wanted to put a ward. I just put a ward in the bush because I was afraid of somehow we lost vision.
Why would you need this ward though?
Yeah, that's...
You've got the Rel, you know?
Yeah, true.
So when it comes to kind of playing someone like Ashe, your spacing is super important. Your attack range is 600, whereas Lucian's is only 500. So without his dash, there's no way he can auto you. Even if you put your auto animation out, your animation is not going to allow him to walk up and auto you. But by walking in range there, it does, right?
Yeah.
So that was one of the first big mistakes. Now the second one was we've got his flash, right? So, I mean, we don't really have to flash after him, you know? Like, we can literally just turn on the Brand there, kill the Brand, and then push the wave and reset. Lucian's stuck on the tower. Like, so the flash as an immobile ADC is extremely risky. And also, we're taking these casters worth of damage. So these casters are probably doing equal damage to hit. Well, he's got, what, 75 AD right now? So these casters are probably doing about 60 to 70 damage right now as well. Maybe even more, actually. So we're taking more damage from the casters than we will from his autos. And also the Brand is here and, free to kill also. and then we won't die. The important thing with these kind of trades is that we want to basically still make sure that we can stay within XP range, because if we get kills, it's not necessarily the gold that's the most important, it's the XP advantage that we can get, because if we start getting levels on this Lucian's basically looking down the barrel of a gun, right? Because he knows that he's going to get outscaled, but yeah, so here we did get it, and obviously the rel did continue on the brand here, but as soon as we get that Lucian flash, change our target prioritization instantly. If we get both of their flashes, completely fine. Like, it's completely fine. The thing is, you have to realize the value of what you're actually getting, right? Because obviously we got first blood, okay, great, it got us a cull, but the flashes are more valuable, because if we kill them once, that's 300 gold, right? Now, if they have no flash, and we're in a winning matchup, and then they have no flash for 5 minutes. So in those 5 minutes, we can potentially get 2, if not 3 kills, based on the fact that they don't have flash. So all of a sudden, we've turned this into this. So it's all about the potential gold that we could obtain rather than the short term, right? And this is kind of one of the big mistakes that a lot of kind of ADCs make in these kind of diamond elos is just being way too kill hungry, right? Like, you already have the advantage, just step back, do damage to whoever you can, and then just continue from there, really.
Yeah, and now the wave is terrible for me.
Yeah, now the wave's awful. And like, it's, even though the brand is low, the wave is in a very risky spot, especially considering now Brand's just got a ton of XP. So now Brand is level 2, so he will end up going for level 3 earlier, which Brand's level 3 is very painful, as we see later on. So the rel does get in. This was actually a really good engage from her. Again, here. So what do you think was one of the main mistakes that you did here? So we get the Brand kill, okay, great. So based on how you were clicking, we can see from your face, what was a mistake?
I stopped hitting Lucian.
No, it's actually the opposite. It's actually the fact that you started hitting Lucian.
Okay, yeah.
Because right now, we've just got a kill on Brand, right? That's 300 gold. We're in a really good position. Now, on top of that as well, we don't necessarily have... actually, we do know Scanners in top side because he started blue. But right here, okay, what we want to do is, instead of hitting Lucian here, this is kind of one of them, like, kind of decision-making things, right? Because how is Lucian going to deal with all of these minions under his tower? How's he going to be able to deal with that?
Yeah, he will struggle.
Exactly. So right now, we're throwing auto attacks into him instead of just prioritizing pushing the wave in. So now we're saying to him, he can trade back here because this wave is still going to come back. And if we're walking up here and trying to trade in this kind of area, he's not really going to take aggro from these casters at the back. So because of that, it means that he's getting the ability to trade damage into you when he shouldn't. So what we should be focusing is to push this wave in and then just harass him under tower. With your Ws, with your autos, your range is huge, and so it's quite easy to actually harass him under the tower, which is what we should have been looking for instead, whereas we kind of don't. So right here, we just want to put auto after auto into the wave. We did miss that one, which, that's kind of a little bit int, purely because that's kind of free gold, because we weren't getting pressured. So, that's a little bit unfortunate. And then here, so we just want to focus on the wave again. And then as soon as this wave is crashed, so right here, what do you think you should have also looked to do here?
Try to auto-Lucian to proc my 8 of Blades.
So potentially, but also we have 600 gold in our pocket. So we could have actually just reset and spent that.
Yeah, okay.
But, there's also an argument that we can just stay for Berserkers while we're not getting pressured, which, isn't too bad either. But we're giving him the ability to kind of trim the wave off there for no real reason. So here, like I said, we could have just reset on that. He's not going to be able to freeze it anyway, so why is he not going to be able to freeze this? Just kind of trivial.
3 casters is not enough, yeah.
Okay, so the 3 casters are not enough. What else? So let's say if there was another wave behind, why else wouldn't this be able to freeze?
Too close from tower. Yeah, and he's not full life.
Yeah. So the casters there needs to be 3 additional casters to a full HP wave and they all need to be full HP in order to get a perfect freeze.
Okay.
Because it's based on these casters have enough HP that they can stall the wave while the reinforcements arrive. Because like obviously the nature of freezing, you probably know this already, but just to make sure we do, like the nature of freezing is obviously that if the wave is say here, let's just say a little bit up. If the wave is here, then what's going to happen is these minions on red side are going to reinforce earlier. Now what that means is they're going to come and they're going to come in this kind of line of 6, and then they're going to actually spread out into the formation earlier. Now because they spread out into this formation, it means that they'll start doing damage earlier, because this wave will still be in a straight line here, not even in range to attack, right? So that means that these reinforcements ends up pushing earlier, and that's how kind of the slow pushes work. Now obviously if you have those 3 additional casters, and then this wave comes and reinforces it like this, then we end up in a position then that these extra casters do enough damage to hold this wave back, whilst also having enough HP to hold the wave. So that's kind of the basics to it, and that's kind of why it works the way it does. But yeah, here. So we're in a position now, we can't really reset. It's not the end of the world though, because even though we can't reset, it doesn't really matter too much. We can still go for greaves. We got plenty of HP, plenty of mana. And the only problem now is we chose to do nothing in that kind of period. Now, I don't know how when this... So this normal ward was put down quite soon, so that's fine. But what you also want to do is, if you don't want to reset, you want to spend the time to at least go and you know, put your ward a little deeper, right? So right now, what do you think is one of the issues with this ward?
Skarner can take the plan and go directly to the bush.
Yeah, you can jump in. I think it will still spot him, but it will give you very little time to actually know. And Skarner, I don't know if he had Predator this game. I hope he did. I think he did, right?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
So that's obviously a pretty big problem. So what we want to do is we want to, while this wave is in a position where there's nothing that we can really do, what we want to do is we want to take a little journey up here. We want to pop this cone just to get vision of the wolf camp. And then we want to put a ward here to get vision of the Grump as well. So then we know if he's on the wolf camp or if he's on the Grump, we get vision there too. And also if he runs like this to come into bot lane, we'll also spot him on this ward, meaning that we can back off earlier. Even if we miss waves, it's okay, because we'll, you know, nullify a lot of that damage. Now, this is something that we're not doing right now, and we're just staying in lane, and we're not using our priority to do anything, which is one of the kind of big mistakes. And all we do is we walk up to get an ult on Lucian and then take more damage from the Brand anyway. Now, in this kind of situation, the Brand will be doing more damage than the Lucian, so you want to always tether the support. So, do you know what I'm referencing when I say tethering?
Focusing?
Not quite. So we'll there's a little point later on, actually. We'll go over it at that point when he's in the bush. We won't worry about it too much now. So one of the things that we've already covered, though, that happens again here. You tell me what it is. So we dodge the Brand's W. Okay. So there. Did you see it?
Yeah. I wanted to trade because I knew he didn't have Q anymore.
Okay.
And I don't know whether it was a misclick or anything, but I was way too close to him. Indeed.
Yeah. So this is the thing. We dodge that, which is good. And then we just walk into him. We walk into range, which, as we already said, Ashe is 100 range higher, so you need to be using that. So what you want to be doing is you want to use target champion only, walk into range of him, get an auto off on him, and then kind of you want to auto and then step back a little bit, and he's slowed, right? So then we can step forward again, auto again, another slow, step back, and we can just play like that, and it's way more beneficial. So we just, as soon as he walks forward, we walk back a bit, and we'll still be able to auto him. So obviously he gets away here, but it's completely fine since he's so low. We dodge the Brand W, which is good.
Here there are like clear possibilities that Skarner is bot, right?
Yeah, but I mean we pop him very quick. I mean Skarner is in bot side, but
yeah.
So right, so this is kind of one of them situations that I mentioned before the session, where a lot of ADCs make these mistakes, where you blindly follow a support and then it ends up getting you killed. So right here, her engage initially was great. You killed the Brand, right? As soon as she starts going back, we want to just leave, to be honest. Like, because
Yeah.
there's no way that she wins this. There's no way. It's impossible. Because he could just E her W, and she's completely doomed, right? So right here, we just don't want to walk up, like, at all. What should we have looked to do instead in this position? Because right here, we take, a lot of damage, and now we can't really stay in lane. So what should we have looked to do instead in this position? After we kill a brand, what should our main priority have been right now?
Push the wave.
Yeah, just start going ham on this wave, put in as much
Yeah.
as you can, because again, then you can get some on this wave as well. You have a Cull and a Doran's Blade, so you have, a fair amount of natural healing. So you want to kind of focus on that wave instantly so that you can get it pushed in and you can reset and spend your gold. Now, why is it also a very important kind of factor that we look to reset at this point?
I got plenty of gold. I'm
Okay.
kind of low.
Okay,
And
so it's about your gold. So what does your gold tell you right now?
I can take like the boots and the pots.
Yeah, you can get Berserker Greaves, which is a huge spike on Ashe, because obviously
Yeah.
the thing with Ashe is you have to be able to run away from it, but if you get tagged by her autos, the slow just means that you can't really run away. So getting those boots is super important, and they're going to help you dodge the brand Ws as well. So we need to push that wave, because now we're in a position where we can't get his cannon, because he can just jump on us and kill us instantly because we took too much damage. So this is kind of one of them situations we have to learn to just ignore the support. Like, we need to know when a support is going in, is that a good fight for us or is that a bad fight for us? If it's a good fight for us, obviously we always need to be following it up. But if it's a bad fight for us, then we just ignore it and pretend it didn't happen, let the support int, and we'll just claim the solo XP. Obviously, once your support is dead as well, you also get 20% bonus XP from the lane. Which is obviously very valuable for us, and it's going to get us to that level 6 sooner, and we can do a lot more. Now, yeah, unfortunately, we don't manage to get this cannon. But here, this is the point where now we're just looking to stack slow pushes, and that's just what we want to play for. So the only kind of main thing is just make sure that you only last hit them at the last point. But one of the things I was also trying to say is what you want to do is you want to ping this brush. Because right now this rel should be walking into this brush to be ready. Because we can hold this here for quite a while, right? And the brand is over here. So if she's there, she can zone him off entirely. Which is really,
I understood that you said pink the brush.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Sorry,
My bad.
that's
no,
my
okay,
that's my
okay.
bad.
It's hard as well, like obviously to go over these things like in the heat of the moment, but like sometimes you have to think of your support as like a pet, and like your pings are your ways to tell your pet to not run in front of a bus, or to tell them that they need to eat, So
yeah.
So this was very advantageous from it. If she would have just done this from the central bush, it would have been completely fine. But okay, so we did get tagged. Yeah. So again, we got tagged by Brand here, his W, which was pretty grief considering we have these boots to avoid it. Now, when you are into these kind of lanes, you have to be considering what their support needs to do in order to achieve a successful fight against you. For Brand, it's landing that W. Obviously, you can try and EU to get EQ, but his E is such a short range that he can never really get close to you to do it, right? So instead, he has to get his W, and then he can get the Q. Otherwise, the Q alone isn't going to do shit. So the fact that he got his W here means that this is already a bad fight, right? So already we're like, no, we need to leave. Like, so instantly, as soon as you've messed that up, you just have to go. Because otherwise, this is not going to be a pretty sight,
Yeah.
And see here.
Pretty obvious.
Yeah. And Scanner comes as well. So again, here, do you see the error? Let's see if you notice it. So, what do you think was the mistake here?
I should just have walked like to the right, yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of autoing.
Yeah. So before you ever put damage, when you're in a kind of situation where you're outnumbered, before you ever output damage, you need to make sure you're positioned in a place that's going to be beneficial for you, right? So throwing that auto here makes you stay there and get tagged by the brand W, which then ends up getting you killed. Whereas if you would have walked forward here, we could have still attacked him, we could have still done damage and got the kill, but we would have survived. You can see he still would have took all of that damage. I mean, we did survive, right? But we could have retained more HP.
Yeah.
And then here, right, so this is another really, really big thing to note. So have you ever heard of the push and pull rule?
No.
Nope. Okay. So if you have a larger amount of minions and it's pushing in, there's nothing that you can do. Let's use him, for example. So right now, if we were Lucian, we are on a push, right? Which means we have more minions. So no matter what, this will push in. There's no stopping it. The only thing that can stop it is you walking up and stopping the push, right? So in this situation, especially when we have such a large HP deficit, one of the main things we need to be considering is how can we survive and get as much farm as possible. Now, the way you were playing, I had to tell you not to walk up, because right now this wave is going to come in. We're barely going to lose anything because we've only got 3 casters, right? And they've got a cannon and multiple casters. So we're not really going to lose anything because he's got a 6 caster wave, which means he's doing over double damage. Maybe even triple with the cannon. So what we want to do here is this is a pull for us because the wave is pulling into us. So what we want to do is we just want to play as defensive as possible, stay as far back as we can, and just wait for this wave to come into tower where we can farm it safely with a tower to defend us. Now, so if it's pulling in, that means, again, we need to be defensive. We need to stay back. What you can do is you can walk into XP range. So XP range is 1500 range. So think of a fully charged Varus Q. That's kind of where we need to walk in. So what we do is, if there is a threat of one of these minions dropping, what we do is we just walk in range to get the XP, and then we'd walk back out of range, right? And we just play for XP, we walk up, get the XP, walk out. We don't go for gold, because gold is not the most important factor in the lane. It's all about XP. All about XP. So do you know how much gold a level is worth in base stats? How much do you think? Take a guess.
700.
It's fairly close. It's about 575, yeah.
Okay.
So on average, it's about 575. There is champions like Darius that will be at like 652. But Ashe being a carry, she's probably at the lower end. She's probably at about 550, I think. I wouldn't know off by heart. But yeah, so we're looking at around, nearly 600 gold per level. So that's kind of where we need to be safe. Because if they start getting levels, like right now he's got, let's say, 600 gold ahead of us. And so all of a sudden we can't really fight him. Not just because of our HP deficit, because he's going to be a lot tankier than us,
Yeah.
So we have to play for that. So right here, even walking up and hitting those ones like that's super, super risky. And now he gets 6. He can look for a fight against you under the tower, but we have heal. So we don't need to worry too much. So here. So do you see what happened again?
Yeah, too close.
Exactly. So this is the thing. I know I'm kind of repeating some of these same things.
That's true. Yeah, I don't realize that.
Yeah, this is the thing. It's kind of like sometimes realizing how many times you make these errors can make you realize, oh god, wait, it's actually going really bad, and this is kind of one of the big mistakes, right? So
that's actually a shame, considering I'm almost a Caitlyn OTP. I'm supposed to know what range
yeah,
is.
exactly. Caitlyn's amazing for it as well. So what you should have done
it's
here,
easier with Kate. Like Ashe, I don't consider Ashe that much long range ADC.
Yep. 600 range. She's only got 50 less than Kate, to be fair. So what you should have been looking to do here, so your W is 1200 range. It might be 14, no, it's 1200 range. So, right, like your auto attack range is half of your W. So what you can do is you can just walk into here and then just W him, wait until he uses his Q, and then walk up, Like, we can play it slow because Rel has an E that's about to stun him anyway. So, we just play way, way safer. Yeah. Because right here, we walk into range for his Q as well. So that's kind of why we die. Obviously, Rel gets the kill, but it's still only a 1-for-1, which, isn't as good. Especially considering we share that XP for that kill.
He's two levels ahead already. So.
Because Brand is also moving too, which is, completely fine. But yeah. So again, here we just want to have another slow push. Only last hit. Now, did you see the mistake? I did point it out with this minion here. So see this minion? Look at the HP it's on.
Yeah.
See how much HP it's got? Now, one of the things when you start getting more AD is you have to be more careful about these things because in theory, you want to hit these as these minions are about to kill them, right? So you want to technically wait until these minions have already thrown their attack and then kill it so that you're not really influencing the wave so much. And that's how you can get 2, if not 3 waves stacked up for a slow push, which, if you can do that, it's going to be very, very easy for you to poke under the tower. So making sure you just get it at the last minute possible is really, really important. But this is the point, I think, where we're going to discuss tethering. So, okay, so right here, where is the danger going to come from?
I'd say that Bran doesn't really have an angle to Q me because
Okay.
of the melee and 2-3 casters minion behind, like between him and me.
Okay.
And Lucian can just damage me through the wave, so I guess Lucian is
So
more dangerous.
Bran can also damage you through the wave, and so if he lands
Yeah.
his W, what he can do is he can Q a minion and then E it, and then that'll spread onto you as well, right?
Yeah.
So he can still damage you through the wave, but tethering is basically the concept where you want to be making sure you're staying as far out of range as the danger. So right now, before this point, and so just before he walks out this brush, we don't know where Brand is, right? So we have to presume that he is literally sat here, just waiting on the very, very edge of the brush, waiting to walk into us. So where do you think we should be positioned based on that?
Well, be like below the farthest W potential hit range.
Yeah, so we want to be up here.
Yeah, there. Yeah.
So we want to be here and staying as far out of range. Now this is referred to as tethering because imagine if, say, there was a rope attached between you and him. You want to make sure that that rope stays as... So say this is the... So say you're mountain climbing with Brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is the furthest point, and then we've got a rope that goes all the way to him. Now, if we were mountain climbing, we don't want this rope to be all loose, right? Because if it's loose and we slip, then there's a chance that the rope will snap.
Yeah.
So what we do is we keep it as tense as possible the entire time, and that's how we want to keep it. Now, there's kind of the same concept with tethering. You always want to keep this kind of rope as tight as possible, and that's going to basically stop him having the ability to do damage to you, but it's still going to allow you to, maybe even trade a W into Lucian, or potentially even when he throws this W, we could potentially even then start walking up here and get some Hail of Blades procs, since this will stop the Q. But yeah, this is kind of the concept of tethering. And what you do is, say for example, he throws his W and you're here, you can then let the rope go loose because there's no danger, right? There's no risk that you're going to fall because his W is used. So you can walk in, you can do damage, you can, do whatever you want, you can still have this minions. So it's kind of like right now you're getting the first half of the picture correct, which is, he can't Q you through the minion, but then you're not taking in the kind of the other half of the picture, which is, okay, well, we still need to position to avoid any damage possible and just kind of play for that. Like as ADC, your HP is so valuable, and see, he's just taken a quarter of your HP with basically one W.
Yeah.
So he's doing damage, so we just want to avoid that as much as we can. Especially considering, Elise is pathing into bot side right now, and the rail is coming. So we need as much HP as we can for this fight that's about to ensue, and then we're in a good position. So this is, a little bit risky. So this is kind of one of them situations where reaction speeds on that flash, if you were a bit quicker with it, you would have been able to get rid of, dodge his stun, because we've already taken damage, right? So again, another thing that we need to be doing is position before you DPS. So we've already been hit by the W, position behind the rel so he can't Q us, and then we can DPS him, right? So instead, what we find happens is he gets a massive amount on us, and now we're literally just hitting the minions just to stay alive. But we're also going to take damage from them. So here, you need to be using every single auto you have. So as soon as you have an auto available, you want to auto, walk, auto. And so he does still die, and we survive.
So it would have been worth for me to flash to touch the Q and get
Yeah.
closer to him
Because then you would
and
have
get the
killed
kill.
him
Yeah.
way quicker, and then you would have ended up in a 3v2,
Yeah,
which
okay.
would have meant you could have potentially fought this and killed both of them, you know. So we do actually get this, which is nice.
Yeah.
And then that does get us level 6. So this is the thing as well. If we would have killed Brand, I don't even think we were in XP range for Brand. We might have been, I'm not entirely sure. But either way, we would have got 6 during that fight, and we could have used that to stop Scanner as well. So here we just reset instantly because again we know Scanner's around.
Yeah.
The Lucian did die, sorry, but we know the Scanner's around. Top lane is currently missing, so you know he could teleport at any point, which we do know he has teleport because he uses it a little bit later. So in this situation, the wave isn't in a terrible position, right? It's kind of reset. You know, not fully, but this is going to be such a slow push. It's not even worth really considering. So now we can reset. We can buy. So it's okay to sell a control ward at this point. To be honest, I mean, control wards are a very odd subject, right? Because it's kind of like if you're playing a carry, you really want to kind of limit your control wards as much as possible. The only time you really want to buy a control ward is when you have a specific purpose for that control ward. So let's say, for example, we're going to set up around a Baron. Okay, we get a control ward because we're going to go set up around a Baron. Now, in terms of the laning phase, those control wards, you know, they don't really provide as much. Your support will get sweeper pretty early, and you know, it's just better for us to prioritize damage, purely because you know that 75 gold that we're investing into that control ward, that's basically one of our cannons. So you know, it's we want to try and avoid them as much as possible. Now, another big thing with the target prioritization of the turret is the turret will always hit the minion that's closest to it on the left. So in these two minions, even though they're both basically on top of each other, the tower will always go for the left one first.
Yeah, I knew I misclicked this one. I
That's
remember.
okay. It's okay. Right, so at this point now, the main thing we're looking for is just space away from Bran again. Wait for Rel to potentially get something. If she doesn't, it's completely fine. Oh, foreshadowing. So here we get tagged by that. Now, yeah, this was a big one.
That's a terrible mistake.
Yeah. Because like we've already been tagged, so again, it's kind of one of them. It's about matchup knowledge as well, because it's like, okay, we've already fucked up by getting tagged. Like we already made that mistake, but now we want to make sure that we just wait until his blaze is run out, and then we can walk up and do anything, right? But even so, we can see that the Lucian is gonna obviously impact this wave and kind of push it. So yeah, it was just really big grief, to be honest. Like we don't need a ward in that brush at that point anyway. We know he's there, because we'd see if he left, because we've got these minions for vision. So we'd see if he left up here, and we'd also see if he left here. So we know that he's there 100%. We don't need the vision for it, you know.
Yeah, I kind of solo lost the game on that, and I knew it the very moment I put the ward. I knew it was terrible.
A little bit, yeah. Like, and this is the thing. Like, even though this game was a little bit doomed, the rest of the map really caved. It's still kind of one of them things, right? Where even in the first 10 minutes, we picked out so many things so far, that you know there's a lot.
That's typically the type of game I would say. Yeah, I couldn't. My top side was losing, and I'm ADC, and everyone watches me. I cannot do better, and yeah, I would have noticed that terrible mistake, but most of my games look like this. I don't do that hard of a mistake, but I'm always eventually saying, yeah, I couldn't have enough agency in the game to win it. So, and there is always stuff I can do better.
Yeah, so this is the thing. Like, honestly, now I'll be completely honest. I know some coaches are all like, oh, you know, like every game is winnable. Like, not really, because if you're in the elo that you're supposed to be in, you are gonna make these mistakes, and you're gonna make mistakes left, right, and center that are gonna potentially cost you the game as a whole. Now, obviously, that game would be winnable, but if that game was easily winnable, then you wouldn't be in that elo, right? So it's like these mistakes will happen. The most important thing is not to kind of go with the whole every game is winnable, but just every game has something to improve on. So there's always something you can improve on in every single game. Obviously, we've already mentioned quite a lot of kind of mistakes, and it's only the first 10 minutes. It isn't even mid-game yet. So before mid game, these are kind of the mistakes that we've made, you know. So this is kind of the thing. Like we want to just play to improve, of everything we do. Even if we lose the game, there's still stuff we can improve. If we win the game and we stomp, there's still stuff we can improve. Like even looking at your op.gg, there was those errors that I mentioned. You know that even those are a mistake. Even though in some of those games you're like 5-0 and 6, there's still mistakes, you know. So here, so we do clear this word out, which is fine. We know the scanner's top side, and we know that the brand is there. We know it's going to take him, you know, roughly maybe 10 seconds to walk back down here. So we have a window where we can clear this wave, but then we have to leave. So I think this is where I told you have to go. But see, as long as we leave at the right time, it's completely fine to greed for those waves. Now, Lucian could have potentially froze that against you, but we could have just got a reset off if he did. And, you know, it would have just given us a back timer, you know? So this was fine. We got vision of them, which is okay.
There, I was really considering arrowing Lucian.
Okay.
That was against the wall. I didn't because Rel was not here, but maybe it was a good idea.
No. I'm glad you didn't, because one of the things with ADC that you have to realize, especially even when you're up in lane up here, is you need to be parallel with your support. If your support isn't walking up, you can never really engage because your support needs to be parallel so they can engage with you. Same way as, for example, that the kill where the brand got us in the brush, the Lucian was just staying parallel with the brand, not hitting the wave, and as soon as he hit that stun, he instantly jumped on you, right? So that's kind of the thing. If your support isn't there to follow up on that engage, your ultimate will not be enough, because from close range it doesn't do as much. Obviously from long range it's like 2 second stun, which is huge, but from short range it won't do enough to allow that rail to get into position. Now this is kind of another mistake that we make, because we never really want to be throwing our ult randomly. We always want to throw it to kind of chain CC with our support, or if say we see a good opportunity, say for example the Lucian ease forward and we know he's got no flash or gale force, we can ult in there and then the rail can follow up, right? But while he's still got his kind of cooldowns and his items available, we have to be a lot more careful about the things that we do. So Brand got a flash here. Brand used flash, should I say. Rel did too. So again here, just a little bit of positioning with that. But, so right here, so this was a little bit of a mistake. So why do you think this was a mistake? The way you were positioning as a whole here.
I wanted to avoid the reunion between, like, the fact that I was stuck between Brand and Lucian.
Okay, so let me just clarify that this point was, obviously we didn't dodge that, but here we played this well. So this was good. So this was perfect, like actually, until this point. So what are the multiple mistakes here?
I don't dodge the Brand's W.
Yeah, so that's number one. That's mistake number one. Again, that's kind of a positioning thing because it would have been easy to just walk up. What's number two?
I'm realizing that I'm not like walking towards Elise. That could have helped me. Yeah.
Exactly. So the Elise could have actually helped you, and you could have potentially got all of these kills here. And so instead of flashing downwards, we should have flashed up.
Yeah.
So right here, if we would have, or even not just flashed, if we would have just walked up here, then the Elise would have come. Brand would have chased, like 100% this Brand would have chased us. I guarantee it. And then we could have just killed him here with the Elise. And then the fact that the Mundo TP'd wouldn't have even mattered. Because the Mundo TP's here, right? And now we're in a position where it's like, okay, we're not going to survive long enough because we just ran away from the Elise. So we're just trying to do as much damage as we can because that's all we can do. Elise does manage to kill him, thankfully. But yeah, like, again, kind of our positioning. So when you're in kind of those risky situations, it's very, very risky, but look down at your minimap as quick as you can and just look for any blue dots whatsoever, and then just run towards them.
Yeah, true.
And yeah, you can definitely kill him in the 2v1.
Yeah, I was really like wanting to.
I mean, he's tanky, but he's like not unkillable, right? So, so this was good. So we go on the Brand. Obviously, we just keep doing damage here. It's very, very hard. I mean, maybe we chased the Mundo a little bit too hard, considering we didn't know where the Brand was. So right here, poking him out, great. Okay, this is okay. And then as soon as we see Brand here, we just instantly walk back and kind of turn on him. I guess we kind of did as soon as we saw him, but yeah. I mean, to be fair, I don't think we would have survived no matter what. And the LeBlanc was here too.
I was expecting these to be 4v4, like no 3v3, no 4v4 with Vega, and Vega didn't
So
come.
the thing is as well about this situation is the Vega will scale, whereas LeBlanc not so much. Obviously, if she snowballs, she's going to be very strong. But by her coming into bot lane, like it gives Vega a little bit of relief in his lane, where he can, he can still do things. Now, so this is the next point, right? Sorry about that bike in the background. So this is the next point, right, where we have this kind of freeze. Now, what point do we need the minion wave to stay at if we want to freeze at this point? Do we want to here?
I must make sure. Yeah, it's a good spot, but there is too much red minions.
So this is bad.
Okay.
Do we want it here?
Okay.
Do we?
No,
exactly. Do we want it here?
Yeah, it must be better.
Yeah. This is the point where we want it at. So when you are freezing the wave, what you want to be doing is you want to get in this brush, and then you want to come out here, wait until it comes, and then as soon as it comes, you go back in. Now, if you have a high enough APM, what you can do, this is quite advanced, is you can stand in this brush and you can wiggle in and out of the brush, in and out of the brush, and then the minions will turn to target you, and then they'll stop. And then they'll turn to target you again, and then they'll stop. And you can actually keep them in this area just by doing that.
Okay.
Obviously, that's a little bit more advanced, and you do have shield bow, which means you can just tank a bit. It's completely fine. But yeah, what you want to do is you want to just keep the minions in that point for as long as possible. Now, why do you think we want it here and not here? Why do you think this is bad?
Because when the blue melee minions die, the red melee minions will go attack the blue range minions and then take the tower aggro.
So it's not even just that. So one of the main things is it's all to do with how the wave approaches, right? So we've previously mentioned that the wave comes in this kind of straight line. What that means is if you have melee minions still here and they kill something off, your melee minions will instantly target this first minion because it's the closest thing to them, right? Yeah. Now, because it targets this one, it means that there's two other melee minions, so let's say these two, that technically aren't being targeted by anything. So when these casters walk up and they hit them, what these melee minions do is they go, oh, well, these are attacking me, I need to go and kill them. So what will then happen is these melee minions will walk around your melee minions and they'll start hitting these casters, which then means the tower is in range to kill them off. So that's kind of why you want to keep it here, so that even if they int, your caster minions will be at this point, right? Which still means if they walk up to here, then they're still out of range of this tower. So that's kind of why you want to keep them in that spot, and that's why it's pretty important. But yeah, so see here, they took a tower shot, and see, do you see it move to this one? Yeah. It's because this was targeting the cannon, and now all of a sudden the cannon's in range, and it's like, oh god, like this is one of the main things that we want to keep here in order to stall the wave. So yeah, just hold it a little bit further up, and this is kind of super effective because you have a cull with 9 stacks to go, and also you need 1500 gold for your wit's end. As soon as you've got your wit's end, you negate such a large amount of their damage that you can look to group and fight. One of the main things on ADC is you're looking to just get to those 2 items, and then as soon as you're at 2 items, you can look to fight. So here we just freeze again. See these kind of issues with the minions kind of inting to the tower. So this is what effectively ends up breaking it. Now, luckily, it's okay. But, if we could have held it a little bit longer, it meant we wouldn't have had to sell our wit's end. And what we can even do is we can actually keep it frozen here when we recall. And then, it's completely fine then. Means that somebody else can even go pick it up and start freezing it as well if they were good. And so here we just look to get the Krugs just because we need a little bit more gold. Now, honestly, right here, what you should have done is just open up your shop and pinged your wit's end. Just so that she knows that you need that amount of gold. It might not have meant anything, but, if we could have avoided selling that coal, since, we've got 2 items slots now free, and we've got nothing to fill them, so, and we're so close to our wit's end anyway. So this was a little bit of unfortunate that we missed that ult. Again, Lucian did have cleanse. There you have the flash, which is good. That's why I was screaming like flash, flash, flash. Because
I was already like, I knew I had to, and I was trying to like use the last frame before he ults me.
Right, so this is the next kind of big thing. So right here, the scanner has already got out of range, right? And he's a tank, so you know we don't really want to be focusing the tank. But in this team fight, all of a sudden, we notice, look, he's really out of position here. The Brand is super out of position. So here, honestly, we should have just started attacking him and just killed the Brand off because he does so much damage. Even though he's already got his ultimate off, Scanner's already used his ult. He's really not going to do much in this fight after that point. So we have to get rid of the carries as much as possible. I don't know what Tam was doing here, but Mundo was behind us and we just didn't see.
We didn't see Mundo.
Yeah. So technically you could see. So what do you think you could see? Tell me on the minimap in. So at this point, how could you actually see that the Mundo was going to be behind you? You have vision of him technically here. How do you think it is?
Do I?
Yeah, you do. Let's. It's a little bit out of position right now, but okay. So no, we can't see it. So, well, I mean, we can see it. It's just a little bit hard to notice. So how do we know that the Mundo in this frame is going to be behind us?
Well, because Tam is using TP, it means that
that's one thing. So
enemy to planer is doing the same, probably.
So what is an important interaction with TP? If you TP to a ward, what happens?
Yeah, if it's a pink ward, the symbol appears on the minimap.
Even if it's not a pink ward, it will still appear on the minimap.
Oh, really? Okay,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Here,
okay.
See here? You can see this ward, right?
Yeah.
How can we see that ward?
How
can we see the ward, right? Like.
Okay, that's it.
The only reason we can see that ward is because it means somebody is teleporting to it.
Okay.
So right there, we actually we saw that he was teleporting, and because now if you watch in a second, you'll see that the ward. Oh no, it's gone! What a surprise! Yeah. And then all of a sudden, oh look who comes from that exact area! Oh, crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a Mundo. Yeah. So we did kind of have vision. But again, this was at this point he was very, very big, and then obviously they just end the game up. We do get a fairly okay kind of amount of damage off here. This is probably where we get most of our damage in that kind of final amount. So we get the scanner, okay. So
I missed one on LeBlanc.
And then obviously we got tagged by the round W. Now again, this. You know, this fight probably wouldn't have changed the game, no matter what, to be honest. Like, they're already very ahead. But you can see how there were kind of so many mistakes that we can kind of pick up on and kind of focus on. And so what I'll do now is I will stop the recording of this video.